Well, hello and welcome to this American Promise Training and Action Series. The purpose of the friend banking team is, number one, to inspire you about the importance of bringing new people into American Promise to join with us in fulfilling our mission to win the 28th Amendment. Number two, to help you become a more confident and enthusiastic spokesperson for the work. And number three, to provide a structure of ongoing support to assist you in succeeding. So there will be ongoing team meetings.
Tonight's session is one in a series of 5 trainings and ongoing teams of support. The trainings and ongoing teams will include topics like these. This friend banking team, which will eventually include topics like writing and telling your story of self, learning the laser talk, friend banking, and other forms of personal outreach. We won't just learn these things. We'll be meeting once a month to support each other in doing them, to support each other in succeeding. I'll describe the other trainings, but I want to make it clear that we're not just talking about a one-time training and then goodbye, but starting with the training and then having a team of folks who will meet once a month, led by a trained volunteer, to support each other in taking action in that area. Other teams starting up monthly will be letters to the editor, focus on writing letters and other media pieces and getting them published. The third training will be meeting with elected officials, whether in person or virtual. Whether at the local, state, or federal level, there are skills to learn to make these meetings more successful. The team will meet each month to support each other in having breakthroughs in meeting with your elected officials and moving them up the champion scale. For example, going from opposed, neutral, or supporter, all the way up to advocate, leader, and eventually champion. The first meeting with elected officials training is Wednesday, February 24th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. And it will start to get us ready for the National Citizen Leadership Conference Lobby Day, which is coming up in early May. The fourth training is planning and hosting events with or without other organizations partnering with you. And the fifth is the use of social media. Some people have asked how these series of 5 trainings and the teams that will come out of them differ from the 5-part training series that AZERS is leading on the first Tuesday of every month. The trainings AZER is leading are focused on guiding our chapters in strategic thinking as they work to get their state ready to ratify the amendment. The trainings and ongoing teams we're offering, including this one, are focused on specific tactics, specific activities that chapters will benefit from mastering. AZERS are on the strategic thinking, and these are on tactics.
Thanks, Vicki. So let's begin with a little bit of inspiration. We're going to play a video, a 10-minute video of Marshall Saunders. He's the founder of CCL, the Citizens Climate Lobby, and he's talking about how he was cornered by 2 elderly women in a senior home and pressured into starting CCL. In the video, Marshall describes 2 different kinds of friend banking that he was involved in. He doesn't call it friend banking, but he was reaching out to new people to bring them in. So Marnie, would you go ahead and put that video on?
Can everyone see it okay?
Yep.
Yep.
I hope you enjoy it. So back 9 years ago, in 2007,
Thanks.
I was giving the Inconvenient Truth Talks, the Al Gore Inconvenient Truth Talks. And it was going pretty well. I was giving 1 a week. I was excited. I loved every one of them, but I had to chase every one of them down. Invite myself to service clubs and churches and schools. And but as I say, it was going pretty well. I was calling on enough of those organizations. Then one day, I got a call out of the blue. It was an organization that I had not invited myself to. And it was the International Affairs Club of Rancho Bernardo. So you may not know Rancho Bernardo, not being from California, but it's a pretty big place. And I thought this is going to be an impressive group. So I was excited about it. So when I got there, it turned out to be the International Affairs Club in a retirement home in Rancho Bernardo. So 10 or 12 retirees had come downstairs to hear me. See what I had to say. I gave them the slideshow, and it included Michael Mann's hockey stick curve and all of that. Gave them the slideshow. It took about 30 minutes. So then I was complete. And so how about questions? Any questions? First question. An elderly lady on the back row against the wall. She said, I can't read with the new light bulbs. What should I do? Then she said, could I use 2 of the new light bulbs, but just for reading? I said, I don't know. Then she wanted to know, very insistent lady, she wanted to know if it would be better to use 2 of the new kind of light bulbs or 1 of the old kind. And I said, well, I don't know. Well, I didn't do very well on the first question. So next question, a lady not next to her, but one over from her, again, against the back wall. She said, well, what should we do? What should we do? And there it was. I was kind of cornered. And I finally said, well, what's needed is the methodology of results where hundreds, I didn't see 1,000, hundreds of people organize themselves, get educated, lobby their members of Congress and the media in a relentless, unstoppable way, and yet friendly. Why don't you do that? She said. No, she's pushing 90 years old, but she's kind of got it together. Why don't you do that? She said. And again, I was kind of trapped. I said, well, I haven't done that because nobody would come to a meeting like that. And I look out at you and I said, and at that time I said, nobody would show up. And she said, well, I'll help you. I'll help you. So, there's these 10 retirees, elderly, distinguished people looking at me, and what was I going to do? And I said, okay, well, let's do it. Let's do it. Was there anything else to say? I don't know. And so the meeting was over. Pam and I drove back to Coronado. It's about 45 minutes south of where we live. And I called back up to Rancho Bernardo to the library. It's right near the retirement home. And I rented a room. And I started inviting people to come. Well, now again, Coronado is about a 45-minute drive south of Rancho Bernardo. And I'm talking to people and I'm thinking, I'm telling them it's a 3-hour presentation. And so I'm thinking these people are not going to come. And maybe they are, maybe they're not, but they're not being real clear about it. And so let's see. So I was worried. And I called my new friend, my helper in the retirement home, to see how the inviting was going on her end. Well, guess what? No answer. And so a few days later, I called back and no answer. No answer. So maybe on the 4th call, her husband answered the phone and said, her name was Lee, Lee's arthritis has kicked up and she's not going to help you. She's not going to help you. So it occurred to me to call it off, but I didn't know who was coming and not coming by that point. And I kept inviting. So on the morning of the talk, of the presentation, Pam and I got there early to set up the room. And we couldn't find it. We couldn't find it. We looked all over. The lady behind the counter didn't know where it was. And I thought, this is not ideal, is it? So it turned out that the room was not inside the library, but up an outside stairway and around to the back of the building on a 2nd deck walkway, through a door on the left, down 2 hallways, and through a door on the right. And I thought, God, if anybody actually tries to come to this thing, if they get as far as the parking lot, they're not going to find this room. So there we were. And 28 people did show up. 28 people showed up. And with like 5 minutes to go, number 29 showed up. He's probably lost somewhere. and so there we were. And I poured my heart out to them. I have a little music stand, and sometimes I get excited and I thought, I'm going to fly over the music stand and land in somebody's lap. And so as I say, I knew about half of them. The other half, I don't know how they found out about it and who invited them. You know, I just didn't know. So let me just see where we are here. Well, at the end of the talk, you know, just like at the end, now my heart is in my throat. And it's time to ask the punch.
Oops. Marnie,
Yeah,
What happened?
the video went away.
that was it.
Okay, I'm
No.
sorry. I can give the end of it just briefly.
Oh,
So
okay.
it says, I'm ready to ask the punchline question, and I figure I need 4. I just have a group. I need 4 people to say yes. And all 29 raised their hand and said yes. And so we started a North County, Central San Diego, and a South County chapter, well, 3 chapters, the first 3 chapters of Citizens Climate Lobby. And that's the end of that story.
Yeah, thanks for recapping the very end, Sam. So I found that video, this is like the 3rd time I've seen it, and I find it inspiring and I find it charming. because he's just a guy. He's not like this hotshot speaker, you know. But Marshall started from nothing, and he got to the point where last June, Citizens Climate Lobby had 4,600 people at the opening session of the virtual June conference, all basically from some version of friend banking. And as you can see, the way he tells it, he started out very humbly. So Vicki and I are going to do a short role play of a friend banking call now, or in a minute. And then we're going to put you in breakout rooms with one other person to practice a call. And also, if you want to work on making revisions to your script. You ready, Vicki?
Yep. Are you ready? Let's go.
Yeah. Okay, we'll go ahead and I've got my script here that I took liberal liberties with revising from the original script I received. I made it personal to myself. So Vicki, I'm going to set you up since you're doing the call as a role play. This is going to be, you're going to play the part of a woman who is the mother, elderly mother of a friend of mine who I recently just met this woman. And I know that she moved to New Mexico recently, and I know that she's been very politically active. I also know that, as most of us, she's more or less, you know, staying home a lot. So, but she's new to the area. She has been very politically active, and she's an older woman. So I don't know if you need a whole lot more than that. Are you ready to start?
I'm ready. Let's go.
Okay. Ring, ring, ring.
Hello.
Hi, Barbara.
Yes.
Hi, Barbara. This is Ishwari. Do you remember me? I met you with Greg a couple weeks ago.
Yes, I do. How are you, Ishwari?
I'm great. Thanks. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you.
Well, do you have a minute to talk?
Sure.
That's great. I'm so glad I caught you. So how are you doing? Has it been cold enough for you?
Yeah, I'm happy to stay inside.
Oh man,
I'll just look at it out the window.
I have to tell you, this is not normal. I mean, this is a little cold for Santa Fe, and that snow we got the other day was quite a bit. So
Yes.
I just hope we're not in Texas. I mean, I'm just glad we're not in Texas. I feel sorry
me too.
for them.
Me too.
Okay, well, I'm going to launch into the reason I called you. As I think you know, I've been volunteering with a group that's really fired up about getting money out of politics. And the group is called American Promise. And our mission is to unite Americans behind the goal of amending the Constitution so we can get big money out of politics, out of campaigns, actually. So I'm calling you and a few other people I know who I think care a lot about the difference each one of us can make as citizens.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, I know. I'm just very excited to have met you and be able to tell you about this. So I'm wondering what thoughts you might have had about staying engaged now that the election is over. Is that something you're doing or something you've thought about?
Well, you know, I was really active writing postcards and sending out postcards, and I really enjoyed doing that. And now, since the election is over and still stuck at home, I'm not quite sure where to put my energy now.
That's exciting. I love that you did postcards. That is fantastic. Thanks for doing that. Well, so I'm going to ask you if you have given a whole lot of thought to how persuasive big money is in elections.
Well, I don't like those commercials. I think they tell a lot of lies, and I really am worried about my grandchildren and what kind of future they're going to have if this is the way our country is going.
Yeah, yeah. Well, here's a statistic for you. Are you ready? Did you know that $14 billion, and that's billion with a B, $14 billion was spent on elections in the 2020 cycle?
Oh my God.
That's double what was spent in 2016, just 4 years earlier.
That's disgusting.
Yeah, I agree. It's really disgusting. So that's the bad news. The good news is that there's something we are doing about it. So before I get to that, let me ask you another question. Is there an issue that you particularly care about that seems to get nowhere because of the big money and the lobbying?
Well, you know, I have a lot of medications that I'm on, and the drug prices just seem to keep going up. And once I hit that donut hole in my Medicare, I have a real struggle with that. So I'm sure the pharmaceutical companies are influencing legislation to keep me from being able to afford these things.
I think you're right. I'm totally sure about that. They're making sure candidates are elected who are going to serve their interests and not necessarily the interests of the people.
Yeah.
And any issue that, you know, so many issues have the same problem, that the issues that we Americans care about are not being addressed because big money and very wealthy individuals are able to keep things more or less the way they have been by electing candidates that will do that. So
It just seems so hopeless that there's anything we could even do.
well, here we go. I'm going to give you some good news. Are you open to hearing about some things you can do?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Well, there's two really easy things. I mean, I'd love for you to volunteer with the organization I'm working with, American Promise. But even before you decide if you want to volunteer, there's two really easy things you can do. One of them, are you by your computer right now?
Yes,
You are? Okay.
Mhm.
Do you have internet?
I do.
Okay. Go to this website. I'll tell you where to go. It's www.americanpromise.net. And let me know when you're there.
I'm there.
Oh, that was fast. So go to, at the top, you'll see a place that says take action.
Mm-hmm.
So now you can see sign on the pledge.
Yes.
Okay, click there.
All right.
And that brings up a pledge. So this is the cool thing that you can do right now to help with this issue. It's a really short pledge. Do you feel like reading it out loud to see if it's something you'd like to sign?
Sure. I join the overwhelming majority of Americans to demand an amendment to the United States Constitution to end the domination of big money in politics and give voice to all Americans. I will stand with all Americans without regard to party or other differences and urge all candidates and elected officials to do the same in order to pass and ratify such a constitutional amendment as soon as possible.
What do you think?
That sounds reasonable. I agree with that 100%.
Yeah. Well, so signing this pledge helps move this issue forward because we use the numbers of people who've signed it as a way to let our elected officials know that the American people really do support this amendment. So do you want to go ahead and just fill this out right now?
Sure.
Okay, go ahead and put your first name, your last name, your state, looks like everywhere where there's an asterisk, your zip code,
Okay.
your email, they need that too.
I'm not going to get on a list, am I?
Actually, you won't receive emails unless you check a box down below.
Okay.
So, but go ahead and put your email in there and I'll tell you a little bit more about the kinds of emails you might get.
Okay.
So there's a place that talks about if you had the outsized dominant voice that the wealthy special interests have, which issues would you ask your elected officials to address? What would you, if you want, you can put something into that area.
Well, I would say medication costs.
Perfect. Go ahead and write in whatever you'd like.
Okay.
And yeah, when you're done, go ahead and keep scrolling down. You know how to fill out these forms, I can tell. So you can put your address if you'd like. That ensures that you know, your elected officials will know where you stand in terms of this issue.
Okay.
And then there's a drop-down box too. If you feel like it, you can indicate what how you lean politically. You don't have to fill that out, but if you want to, you can.
Okay.
So the next two boxes are important. I'm interested in volunteering. If you click that box, it would be fabulous. And I personally will get back to you a little bit later about more details. Wonderful. Okay, so the next part is the email piece. If you check the email piece, you will get twice a month, you will get a newsletter from American Promise. And I would highly encourage you to do this because it's a really well-written newsletter and it'll help you stay informed about what's happening and what's coming up, stuff you can do.
Okay, yeah, I'd like to get the
So-
emails. I can learn more about the issue.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, you can click the volunteering button if you like or not. But so down below that, you have to click a CAPTCHA, like a robot thing. And then it'll ask you to click on the next page. And let me know when you're there.
I'm there.
Oh, okay. So there's a couple questions. You can answer these questions. They're pretty self-explanatory.
Okay.
Let me know when you've when you get down at the bottom. Let me know just before you hit the click or the submit button.
Okay, I'm about to hit a submit button.
Okay, hold on. Thank you. I want to celebrate with you for doing this. By signing the pledge and clicking on that box, you're going to start receiving the newsletter twice a month, and you're going to be helping just by having done what you did right now. So those are the two super easy things. And as I said, there's more to do if you decide to volunteer. We do all kinds of different things, from calling friends and letting them know what we're doing to writing letters to the editor and all kinds of other stuff. So do you have any questions for me, Barbara? I'm so excited that you were willing to fill out the pledge.
No, I'm actually, it sounds like the letter to the editor thing, that sounds like something that I would be interested in learning about. So I think I found my next project here.
Well, that's super cool. As it happens, I happen to be the chapter leader in New Mexico of American Promise. So I will be personally calling you and letting you know some of the things you can do. And I'm just really excited. And I think I'm going to get Greg involved too, your son. He expressed an interest too, but you were the first one I called. So I'm so glad you had a chance to talk with me today.
And thank you for calling.
Thank you. Listen, I'm gonna, if you are willing, I'd like to send you a real quick, like a 6-minute video that talks all about the issue and about why we actually need an amendment. Can I send that to you at your email?
Yes, that would be
Okay.
fine.
That's wonderful. And then maybe in a week or so, I'll give you a call and we can talk a little bit more.
Okay, sounds good. I'll be
Thanks.
here.
Thank you. Me too. I'll be right here. Thanks, Barbara.
Thank you.
I'll talk to you later.
Ishwari.
Bye-bye.
Okay, take care. Okay. Does anybody have any questions or suggestions about that? Thank you, Ishwari. That was really fun.
Thanks, Barbara.
I don't know where you got the elderly idea, but I fit the part. So did you bring a script? If you didn't, I think Marnie's going to put one in the chat for you to download. And so the idea is to kind of, when you call people, to have a script so that you make sure you cover all the areas. You know, a lot of things, a lot of people, a lot of businesses are using scripts for their work too. So it's kind of interesting. So she'll have one in the chat. You can download that, load that, and use it as a guide. And Marnie's going to put us into breakout rooms of 2 each. You can role play and practice a call, revising your script as you see fit. And then we'll bring you back to the larger group after 15 minutes. Any questions?
Does anybody need the script? Yeah, there it is in the chat, looks like. Okay, so Marnie, are you ready to put people
Yep.
into breakouts? Okay.
We're doing that right now.
Have
Let's
fun,
go.
guys.
Might take a minute.
We need Jeopardy music playing.
No matter how
We're
fast
going.
technology is, it's never as fast as we want it to be.
Are people going?
No,
Okay.
I don't see anything about breakout yet.
nope.
They're coming.
There it is.
There we go.
Conrad, are you going to join room 1?
Are you,
Looks like he might have.
share your experience? And anyone?
You're on mute, Conrad.
Conrad, you're on mute.
Okay, we
There
have
we
the
go.
technology.
How'd it go?
Well, I was the one that called Barb and Steve, so I'm going to let them be the judge of that.
Conrad was the caller and we were the recipients of the call. We thought it was very good. Conrad's very good at this. And
Yeah, we should hire him out.
I wrote down several notes and I got some good tips on how to handle this when you're trying to call friends. He's got a very good approach to the script and it doesn't sound scripted. It sounds very matter of fact, and that's what I've tried to do, what we both tried to do with friends and people that we know from here around on the street where we live and the broader neighborhood is try to be very relaxed and just matter of fact is how we describe this effort that we're on, because a lot of people, you know, it comes up always in the conversation about what's going on in politics. And this block in particular is a fairly liberal block. The conversation always usually turns towards money and politics at one point or another. So we've been trying to advance the idea that there's this group out there that really is trying to work just specifically on that matter.
So but maybe they can sign the petition. That'll be a little thing that, you know, you could suggest that's.
I think that's great. Yes, I think that's what we're going to try and get people to get involved. Is just get in there and sign the petition and show some support.
Yep.
Lots of people on. So it's a mix of ages. So there's grandparents like us, but there's a lot of young people on the block. Of course, their schedules are 9 to 5 and beyond all week long. So they don't have time to get too involved in too many more things. But if we could get more people to sign the petition, I think that would be great.
Yep, that's great.
Well,
Thank
Steve,
you.
you mentioned that you took a couple of notes. Do you want to share anything that you took down that were particularly useful that we could that other people might benefit from hearing?
Just what I said before, have a script and know what the off ramps to it are and be able to, you know, the point about 14 billion in the 2020 election comes up again and again. You know, it came up in our discussions before we broke out, and it came up in the breakout session. That's a great point.
Yeah.
And
And you know that's just what we know. That's not even the dark money.
It's a great hook to get people, you know, to get their eyes open and say, hey, you know, that really is a lot of money. You know?
Well, and you know, 1.5 billion of that was spent by the top 100 donors, individual donors. So there's a lot of
1.5 billion.
Yep, 1.5 billion of that came from the top 100 individual donors. So that's a lot.
It is.
So thank you. Wonderful.
But overall, it's Conrad's approach. It's not.
Yay, Conrad.
We expect big things from you, Conrad.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Anybody else want to share about anything? Okay. Well, so the next thing we're going to do is actually have you go out and make calls. But first, you know, some of you might be comfortable making cold calls to a friend. Others might prefer to text or email first to set up a time to have your call. And, you know, it's quite likely that a lot of your actual friend banking is going to happen in between team meetings. We're going to give you a few minutes coming up now to go ahead and make a call and come back and share with us. But, you know, if you set up a time to have a call with a friend, it may not be during one of our team meetings. So if you're really nervous at first, call a good friend and let them know what you're doing, that you're practicing, you know, an outreach method, and that you're making calls and you'd like their help. You could even use the word guinea pig if you want, as you're getting started, and let them know that you want to share your work with American Promise, and let them know there are things they can do to get involved. So don't hesitate to set your call up before you make, especially your first like real live friend banking call.
Well, I already did this. I have a girlfriend and I called her and she's known I've been involved in this forever, and she was doing other stuff. And then she was like, she saw a Represent Us video and she's like, do you know anything about this? And I'm like, of course I do.
Yeah.
And by the way, suddenly you care about politics. You will sign this pledge. But I'm from Jersey, so it's okay.
That's right. So you're out ahead of us here.
She signed the pledge because I was like, if you're going to be moved by Michael Douglas videos, just go sign the pledge. Crying out loud. No, I'm involved in this stuff. So she did.
Okay.
Well, that's good. So now we're going to ask you
she's going to the Represent Us meeting. That is.
Oh, that Marie's doing?
Marie's going to speak.
Good. That's good. Good.
So
Excellent.
Good.
So now she's not only getting ranked choice voting and all of that, she's also going to hear.
Yeah.
She's also going to hear about
The amendment.
American Promise.
Yep.
Mhm.
Good.
I'm a pro.
Woo-hoo.
Yay, Heather.
So now we're going to ask you to mute yourselves and actually make a call to a friend using your script. Some of you might have one or two good conversations. Others might reach no one and just end up sending texts and emails for asking friends for a time to talk. But we'll give you 15 minutes. And when you're finished with your call, come back to the Zoom and just unmute yourself. We'll want to know how it went. And don't worry about cutting your call short in order to come back in 15 minutes. Ishwari and I will wait for you if you're longer than that. Okay?
Mhm.
Everybody ready?
Yeah.
Okay, good luck.
Marnie, I have a question for you.
Yep.
So with the but I want to volunteer. If it's somebody who it's a personal friend and it's one of my chapter members
like us, you're following us. Would you like to know more? I'd like to know you better. And so I'm trying to do the first rule of engagement, always establish rapport.
Yeah, good for you. That's a great idea. I made a
Yeah.
note of that.
So yeah, in addition to the, a couple of things I took away, and I've been using the script. I thought it was a good thing, besides my own experience, but one, always establish rapport. Two, what I find works in all these things that we did in the breakout is ask open-ended questions, but ask questions of the person to engage them. Like, what issues are important to you? And in our conversation, for instance, Barb and Steve said climate change and the price of drugs. And so I said, yeah, I'm old like you. I'm on Medicare. Price of drugs is good and all that stuff. How do you think big money affects those things? In other words, I try to engage the person on their place and on things that they care about. And just did that with a few other people on the follow-up email that I did today. And now you're talking to people, not just from a script, but from your own self, and it becomes genuine, and you're expressing an interest in others. And basically it's, I like to use a version of, so tell me about your grandchildren. Okay. Or as we used to say in sales, let the customer talk, and when they're done talking, let them talk some more. And then answer questions. But the other thing I find works here within the script is non-threatening. Hi, I'm a person like you. I'm involved in an organization called American Promise. It's important that you know that, one, we're very nonpartisan. We don't care what your party is. We don't care whether you're left, right, and center. But we do care, as most people in the country do, of all parties. And I can give you statistics why the majority think that big money in politics is really not a very good thing. What do you think?
Good.
Hey, Conrad, can you send your revised script? And I'm going to invite everyone, if you significantly revise the script, we'd love to see those and share them around so that people get ideas. The one we put out there is one version, but it'd be great to be able to have all of those tips and ideas to share with each of the people in this team.
Okay, I will perhaps do that tomorrow.
Yeah.
Since I didn't write down what I just said and some of the things that I find. I always ask myself, like on a call, hey, what worked on that call? What didn't work? Do more of the first, don't do the second. Guy goes to the doctor, says, every time I do this, it hurts. Doctor says, don't do that.
I'm so glad we have a comedian on our team.
That's a perfect.
By the way, a little humor that's natural really, really works. If you can get people smiling or laughing in conversation, it really works. But you know, it's got to be genuine. That's why I think the script and the letter I got, I thought, wow, this is perfect, because I was just going to do that yesterday and today, which is what I did, and why I didn't do it tonight, but I did some follow-up. But yeah, I will put a few notes in there if you like. And yeah.
That'd be great. And Marnie, if you send it to Marnie, maybe you can share it with Vicki and I, and we can kind of figure out what we're going to do with it. Yeah.
Yep.
That'd be good.
Okay, I'm writing that down, and I usually do what I wrote down. So
good job.
Giving myself something to do that you gave me to do. Thank you for your trust. I will try to honor it.
So anyone else want to share anything about a call you just made?
Well, I wanted to say that what Conrad talked about is a really good way to grow your chapter. I mean, you're already, it's low hanging fruit. You already have somebody who's interested enough to follow. So I hadn't really thought of that before. You look and see how many followers you have, but that's, it's easy to follow. Let's see if we can get them to go one step further and at least sign the pledge. And maybe we'll bring them along to do more than that. And then did anybody else have anything else they wanted to share about the call?
Well, I'll share. I cheated. I called my daughter.
That's what I did
That's not
too.
cheating. That's practicing.
Hey,
Yep.
she cheated a while ago at work where she had to make a call and called me. So I was like, hey, you owe me one.
She owed you one. Perfect.
But what was funny was that, you know, and I told her like we're practicing, right? But so then I started talking and she's like, wait a minute, you know, a whole constitutional amendment? And she started like, we started actually talking about the issue about it. And then she's like, okay, we're gonna have to talk about this later because, you know, you need to get back to your Zoom party. But it was funny because, you know, just in going through the script for her, then all of a sudden she started, you know, really asking me about the issue and how do we do this and what is it going to take? And
Well, I think that's, you know, I would like that with my children too. They know what I'm doing, but they don't want to do it. That's, you know, what the mom's thing. But so this is the first time when I was talking to my daughter on the phone, I said, go americanpromise.net. She goes, oh my gosh, this isn't even autofilling. I've never been to your website before. So, which was a little insulting since I've been doing this for, I don't know how many years, but so yeah, I think that this
please.
is good
My
for
kid
everybody.
My kid's like, what? I don't know how many times I've talked about it. You know, and he'll go off on all kinds of things. And I'm like, you know, preaching to the choir.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Is it on Instagram? That's what they ask.
So
Anyhow,
can you think about anybody to invite maybe to next month's team meeting so we can kind of build the crowd? So if you, in your outreach, maybe you could keep that in mind too.
So we could invite people that haven't been part of this, is what you're saying, and bring them into next month's meeting.
Well, you'll want to kind of bring them up to speed about the issue if they haven't been in a chapter before. But I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, just to simply asking people to sign a pledge. So yeah, for sure.
why not? You don't ask, you don't get.
That's right. That's right.
So we're a little bit ahead of in terms of time. Is there anything anyone else would like to share before we start coming to a close?
well, I tuned into a call by John Sorbanes today. He has regular calls. I say he's so fantastic. I'm like in political love with him.
Political love, I love that.
Yeah, and he was talking about it, and he was talking about HR1 and you know, bringing it along. One of his constituents asked him, "Do you really think that this will pass the Senate?" And he said, "You know, it's difficult." He's like, the numbers are difficult, the issue is difficult. And then he said, but one thing is that if we get enough of you out there supporting, then, you know, we have a chance of getting it through. Yep. And on an earlier question, when they were talking about the COVID relief, they had asked him, do you think it will go through? And on that one, he said, look, you know, we're hoping that they'll come along, but if they don't, we'll do what's necessary to get it through, which essentially means blow up the filibuster. So now, if I understand,
they can do it. They're doing that under reconciliation. They don't need to touch the filibuster.
Oh, that's right. They don't need to do the filibuster on that one. Yeah, but
that's just the first thing. I imagine the filibuster will get blown up sooner.
If they blow up the filibuster, is it like gone forever? Or is it just that one?
It's gone until it gets reinstituted, just like it's gone for the Supreme Court judges and, you know, everything else that McConnell blew it up for. And well, Harry Reid got rid of it for the lower court judges because they were obstructing the lower court judges before that. So,
yeah,
you know,
so, and I'll just finish up quick. There was one very interesting woman. She was very funny. And she said, you know, I know you're like, you know, unity and let's work together. She said, but I really think that what you should focus on doing stuff for the people and, you know, not worry about working with Republicans. Just like, all right.
Hey, folks, it's a good thing we're not partisan, huh?
Sorry.
Yeah.
I know. It's I can resist anything but temptation.
Well, it's by necessity as well, because you can't get an amendment to the Constitution. with just, I mean, you have to have the, what is it, 2/3 of the
Yep.
of Congress. You can't just get it with a, you know, the one person. It's really, really impossible. So we have to be cross-partisan. Not only do we want to, but we have to in order to get this to happen. That's why it's such a heavy lift. I mean, I think that's
Indeed.
one of the key pieces. Yeah.
So where our next meeting is scheduled for March 18th. That's the third Thursday of the month. And we're wondering if people would like a daytime option. If we did evening one month, the next month daytime. Are any of you available during the daytime?
As Marnie and I both know, we already have a third Thursday of the month with AP Michigan, several of us chapters comprising AP Michigan, and Marnie at noon. So
Okay.
my vote is no.
No. Okay.
We're doing that already, and so is Marnie, but she
Yeah.
can speak for herself. She's multi-talented and full-time, and then some.
Well, does anybody feel like alternating evening, day would be an advantage? Well, why don't we just keep it evening then?
Yep, we'll keep it evening then.
The third Thursday.
Yeah,
the
if we
way-
got
yeah.
a date and time that works.
Yep, that's what we just want to throw it out there just to make sure.
March 18th it is.
So we're at the end of the call. I want to challenge everybody to make a few phone calls each week between now and the time we meet again, which will be, I guess, this time on March 18th. See if you can put it in your schedule to make at least a few calls each week, and be prepared to let us know how that goes. I mean, I think it's really helpful for each of us to hear the tips that other people learned. Also the failures. I mean, it cracked me up when Sam said, I called my son and he dumped me. It's like, okay, we have to be able to be prepared for that too, you know? So,
Again, like sales, you gotta be able to take a little rejection. You get a lot of no's, but the yeses are really sweet.
Yep.
they are sweet. They sure are.
Yeah, but Barb and Steve were a little too easy. I've had tougher ones. But thank you for that. I really appreciate it. It was great practice for me. Thank you for your kind comments.
And you can certainly work if something breaks in the news in your area and it's pertinent to people that you're reaching out to, throw it in your script and, you know, keep that fluid so, you know, you can adjust it as the news.
We tried calling our son and we got 5 minutes of our grandson, which was unexpected.
Oh,
Probably not unwanted.
that's good.
I have a quick question, Marnie,
Yeah, but
actually.
is he old enough to sign the pledge?
Marnie, I have a quick question about the pledge page. When you go through on that second page, because I did, since Jeff was on our leader call, I asked him about filling it out again. And he's like, well, yeah, it's fine, you know. So when I forget now, I think I hit submit first. And then the icons for Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn are there, but it doesn't say anything about them. I think it should say specifically share to your social networks by clicking here. Because I clicked on Facebook and then a banner showed up on my Facebook page and I was able to put some verbiage and put it on there. And if you click on Twitter, it'll put it on your Twitter account.
Oh,
So
cool. Okay.
it's another way to spreads on the social media. We can ask people to do that as well,
Yeah, that's a great idea.
you know.
It's a great idea, yeah. So you're asking Marnie to put a little bit of more have the communications people put some
Yeah, a
more
lot of times
instructions
when you
on that
fill out
page.
those electronic email letters or whatever, it'll say, now can you please share on your social
Yeah.
media? And it makes it very prominent. The logos are there, but it doesn't say now please share.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that when I did it. So that's a really good point.
Perfect. Thank you, Marie.
Yeah.
Well, thank you everybody
Yes,
for
yes, thank
being
you.
on this, our first actual phone banking, friend banking team meeting.
Thank you.
And we look forward to having everybody back next time and reporting on the calls you've made and bringing more good ideas and also bringing more people. Let people in your chapters and stuff know that we're doing this, and it's a ongoing, supportive, actually doing the action during the call I mean, it was kind of awkward and different for me for everyone to just kind of go away for a while and come back, but that's what we're doing. We're trying to do the actions together. And since it's COVID, we all get to be together here.
Yeah.
So what we're thinking about doing, what we talked about last night in our New Jersey meeting was maybe coming up with a way to almost like a campaign phone banking or text banking, do friend banking by the group, and maybe do it as like a little invite to, hey, you want to join a little Zoom meeting we're going to do, and we're going to talk to you a little bit about American Promise, and you can help us out at the end. It's only going to be, it'll be short. You can get, you don't have to stick around after that, and sign the pledge, on the Zoom meeting.
So you'll have a get together with, you'll send out a text to a handful of people or whatever. Oh,
Yeah,
that's a good idea.
House party, a Zoom house party.
Yeah.
And
That's a fabulous
That is
idea.
great
Like
idea.
instead of a one-on-one phone
Yeah.
call, gather a few friends for a
you
little
still have
phone
to, each
banking.
person has to do well, one person could invite a bunch, or several people, in the chapter could each invite a couple and have it done that way. There's different ways you can set it up, but
That's a cool
That's
idea.
a great idea.
You could also too, like, to make it a little bit more engaging for some people, like thinking for me, like some of my friends who don't necessarily love politics, like maybe making it exciting, like bring your favorite ice cream when talking about and learning about American Promise in the 20th.
well, if you really, now you're making me think, because if you, I don't know if you ever looked at it, but Laura had put together a bingo, a Zoom bingo party with constitutional amendment stuff. And I mean, if you want, you could set it up as a game night and sign the pledge, or game day and sign the pledge.
But really what you're talking about, Marie, could just be a 20-minute thing.
Yeah.
Just, hey, come quick, 10 minutes of this, do the pledge.
Yeah.
That's
We're gonna
really,
have to incorporate that into this team and really develop that idea, because I love it.
yeah, I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, we need
Thank you.
that's a good idea. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bring those ideas on, folks.
Yes,
We need those. This is all about outreach and having fun.
Yep. So,
Okay.
all right.
Sounds good.
Question.
Good night,
Thank you, everyone. See you
Wait,
next time.
I think Steve has a
Yes,
question.
Steve has a question.
Oh,
And you said there's an LTE training. When is that?
Yep. That has not been announced yet, has it?
it hasn't been scheduled.
Marnie?
The letter to the editor training will be March 25th.
Oh.
So we
Oh.
still have a little while. And the email will be sent out
Okay.
the week before and the day of.
Okay.
And then the lobby day training, that's next week.
That's talking to members of Congress, right?
Yeah, for lobby day, for next Wednesday.
For lobby day, yep.
Well, that's not the the AZER training thing. I mean,
That's not like the series
That's-
of live
yeah,
trainings, but
that's
it's the lobby day training, which is next.
that's not part of the lobby day training group. That's just actually, we're just been preparing for lobby day for the conference. That's kind of confusing, Marnie.
The training
One
team is
one is
members
lobby
of
day and one
Congress.
is
Yeah,
speaking to members of Congress.
right.
So
There's
when-
a lot of
Okay,
overlap.
yeah. So
So
the one,
next week is lobby day.
Yeah.
Training, not speaking to members. There's a whole separate thing.
yeah.
so there's speaking to members of Congress, and then there's lobby day training.